This is actually the tie that I wore to my wedding about 11 years ago. And I still keep it in my closet to this day. And even though it's a little discolored at this point, and even though it's got a few, maybe you can see, small little red stains on it, pro tip if you're having a wedding, don't have red spaghetti sauce. Get the white sauce instead. It stains a lot less. But this tie, every time I see it in my closet, it reminds me of a special day and a special occasion where I was able to celebrate. And probably the only time where I wore a tie as a kid was on Easter Sunday. Every year my dad would go get me a special clip-on and he'd put it on me, at least until I was a teenager and I learned how to tie a tie for myself. And even as an adult, every year I usually go out and I buy a new shirt or a new tie just to mark that special day and the beginning of a new year with Christ and celebrating Christ's resurrection. But this year, I didn't dress up for Easter. Like many of you probably did. It's okay, I won't tell anybody. I threw on the first pair of pants I could find, and I went downstairs and watched the Easter service on the couch. It was a strange feeling to kind of miss out on some of the celebrations of that day. I didn't see anybody's new tie or new hat. I didn't wear one myself. But luckily, I haven't been the only one who doesn't know exactly how to feel on the day of resurrection. As I said in some of my devotional minutes, and I mentioned it in my last time I was preaching, I've been reading through the Gospel of Mark during Lent, which we just finished up with Easter. Here is Mark's account of the resurrection. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so that they could go and anoint Jesus' dead body. Very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they came to the tomb. They were saying to each other, "Who's going to roll the stone away from the entrance for us?" When they looked up, they saw the stone had been rolled away already, and it was a very large stone. Going into the tomb, they saw a young man in a white robe, seated on the right side, and they were startled. But he said to them, "Don't be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has been raised, and he isn't here. Look, here's the place where they laid him. Go tell his disciples, especially Peter, that he's going ahead of you into Galilee. You will see him there, just as he told you." Overcome with terror and dread, they fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone, because they were all afraid. Now, you would think the women would be excited to hear that Jesus, the person whom they had followed, whose teachings they had placed on their hearts, whose miracles they had witnessed, they feel like they would be excited to hear that he had been raised. Instead, they're overcome with terror and dread. This Easter, I'm reminded that there's more than one emotion that goes along with the resurrection. Yes, we believe that the resurrection brings us closer to God and closer to each other. But that's not always as simple as it seems. While the resurrection is the most important moment of our faith, it doesn't eliminate the fear that we fear in uncertain times. It doesn't evaporate the dread we have in times of change. It doesn't mean that I'm not sad when I don't get to see my family on Easter, or I don't get to go out and get a new tie to wear to a special service. But even in those difficult emotions, I know that Jesus still shows up. I know that the resurrection and the church still matters, promising to do a new thing in this world. Regardless of what feelings you may have had during this strange Easter, I know that God is always with you, and that you and all those around you are still a people shaped by the resurrection. Amen.